Oink oink, fellow Gothamites. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And we're back to discuss episode 6 of season 4 of Fox's retelling of the Dark Knight mythology entitled Hog Day Afternoon. So join us as we venture into Batman's birthplace.
And explore Gotham.
Oh man, Dragon. Wow. So ever since episode 3 of season 1, I believe, the Balloon Man, like the cold open of Balloon Man, I believe, we've been anticipating this moment, and it's finally here. And man, oh man, did Gotham deliver on this. I'd like to call this, Dragon, kind of the annual Gotham unofficial Halloween special. You know what I mean? Like, it's not quite a Halloween special, but it kind of has all the, all the trappings, all the creepy atmosphere, and
very much like Spirit of the Goat from season 1 in terms of, it's released in October, and of course it's very spooky.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, of course, Michael Cervais is playing Professor Pyg in this episode, and Dragon, I'm not like 1,000% sure that Monkey saw this guy on Broadway, but I am like 99% sure because he saw this guy in Fun Home. He saw the original Broadway cast of Fun Home, which he was in. So unless Monkey saw him on an off day, and like there was an alternate that day or something like that, like Monkey's seen this guy in person. And I gotta say, kind of like having hyped myself up about that myself, like, wow, man, oh man, this is like one of the creepiest villains that Gotham's ever done, like hands down. This guy is really, really unsettling, to say the least.
But you gotta remember, Professor Pyg, just as a character, was literally created by almost, it wasn't on a dare, but I'm saying it's like almost as if Grant Morrison, of course, as much as I love Scott Snyder, I will always hail to Scott Snyder. Grant Morrison's always like, it's always the battle between who's the more groundbreaking Batman writer, Grant Morrison, Scott Snyder. Obviously, I'm on the Snyder side of that, but Grant Morrison laid the ground for doing the creepy, psychologically scary Batman stuff.
For what I've heard about Grant Morrison, he gets like really, really like philosophical in his stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing. Grant Morrison, honestly, for me, I think Grant Morrison is a little too dark for Batman, in my opinion. I mean, that's saying something, but I mean, he goes that dark with it.
That is saying something.
I'm sorry, his stuff is truly some of the darkest.
And not like teenage, like dark and edgy, like Frank Miller.
No, I mean, like, he the big kind of go-to piece of the show that he did famously, Arkham Asylum, Serious House and the Serious Earth, which is kind of that really expressionistic kind of, well, maybe not impressionistic, but the abstract looking book where Batman goes into Arkham Asylum, which of course kind of gives us the Arkham games years later, kind of inspires kind of a little seed for the idea. The point, my point is, Grant Morrison, like it feels like almost on a dare basis. I'm going to create the most, given Batman's already kind of scary and the implications, like just memorable rogues he got. I'm going to make someone who's going to be the creepiest Batman villain ever. And that's essentially what I did with Professor Pyg.
And yeah, I mean, I will not argue. This guy is creepy as all hell. So let's get into it, Dragon. And before we even start, I just want to express, like, man, they kind of blew it with the cold open. Like, they've been doing pretty well with the cold opens. Like, it was sort of a thing that we had in season 1 that's kind of blown over. But they really blew it here, Dragon, because the actual, like, Professor Pyg intro scene would have made a perfect cold open on its own, and then we could have cut back to the Lee stuff, the Lee and Riddler and Grundy, and it would have been fine, just literally like go into the simplest editing software you can, copy that scene, the intro Professor Pyg scene, and then the Gotham logo, and then the wrestling stuff, and it'd be better. I don't know.
Right.
It's a nitpick. Anyways, so...
Okay, let's start the episode.
Yeah. Okay, so we start with Lee in the middle of a match. She's like really, like, this is a really violent wrestling ring, Dragon.
Well, yeah, it's like an underground fighting ring. We kind of saw, actually, it's kind of funny. We saw one of these in Batman v Superman. Bruce Wayne was like an upper class version of it. That was like the lower class version of it we have here. Basically, these underground fighting rings in Gotham where people bet on who's gonna win or lose. Only you don't have like multi-million-dollar bets going on with like guys who are supposed to be KGBs but really aren't KGBs.
Right.
So yeah, Leah, she's patching up the fighters, and it's like kind of like it's a grind for her essentially. And it's like, okay, well, she's like, okay, wake up, wake up. She's very much in. I was about to use kind of a Claire Temple exact. Is nowhere near as compelling as Claire Temple, but I'm just saying in a similar manner as Claire Temple. It's like it's on.
I'll give her this much. She's definitely more tolerable than season 3.
Well, yes. I mean, don't get me wrong. When I say that, I just am saying Claire Temple like kind of really is like that's top marks. But I want to say this: I really was surprised, and I did come around on Lee this episode. I really did.
Yeah, and of course we'll get into that.
Yeah, sure. I just want to make clear I'm not down on Lee this episode.
Of course.
Comparatively,
Okay, so here's a fun dynamic that
yes.
Honestly, Dragon, I thought Lee at her height was kind of like the season 2 stuff with Jim and Riddler and Kringle, like the whole the dating couples thing.
Yeah.
And so it's really nice to return to that and really call that to mind. And of course, I love how Lee's like, very exclaiming like, why would I be mad at you? Oh, it's not that you sent Jim to prison and, was basically the cause of my unborn child or anything.
Which I'm so glad. I've always been mentioning that, and they finally called it. I love it. We just call the season 2 stuff into question here.
Right.
Now, just where we get to, again, I think Lee kind of do what exactly I want him to do with Lee later in the episode. I mean, just basically knowing we were so filled with dread when Lee was reintroduced last episode, because he also like we were on definitely some space before Lee was reintroduced.
I think it was literally like a case of TV PTSD.
Yeah, that's essentially what it was. Again, like we didn't know what they were doing. Oh God, not her. It's like we suffer a lot of trauma with Lee in season 3. Again, we love that character. We love Mariah Baccarin as the actress Mariah Baccarin.
And after this episode, I can clearly see it's the writing in season 3. It was really not her fault at all.
Exactly, and what I'm saying here is
seriously, her whole character arc in season 3 was a piping hot mess.
Exactly,
all the way through.
I really liked season 3, but at the end, the least it just drains that season.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm saying. I like that in this scene we kind of get a baseline. So basically, like before we get to the other interesting stuff we do with Lee in this episode, we just kind of start. Okay, we're getting like classic Maria Baccarin, like good actress, kind of like being able to kind of shine a little bit. Basically, she has like that sardonic, almost as if she's playing Vanessa, like a PG Vanessa. Almost.
Right.
In the scene, basically it's just kind of a good baseline performance. Okay, she's snarky with Enigma. She still has kind of that Baccarin charm. Like, okay, at least it's nowhere near as bad as she was kind of pigeonholed into playing in season 3.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so basically Enigma's checking in, basically voicing the surprise. Oh, hey, you're here.
Then of course she's surprised by Grundy.
Yep. Again, I love this. That we have these fun interactions.
He seems to love me, which is a big improvement.
Yep. Enigma essentially just boiled down. Enigma's asking for help in restoring his intelligence. Of course, she says never.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna see how that goes. Meanwhile,
Riddler's got some really fun stuff this episode. I can't wait to talk about it.
Yes, he does. Okay, so let's see. Next scene, we got Penguin and Sophia. So the idea some time has passed, and they've had a few.
Yeah, this kind of came out of nowhere for me a little bit, Dragon.
It was set up though, but the time jump is a little bit. They kind of sprung that on us. So time has definitely passed. Like they've had like at least 3 of these kind of public kind of outings. The idea of basically Sophia's idea, like, hey, let's show that the power has shifted. You don't have the Falcone name, but hey, let's show that Falcone supports the Penguin by having some public little luncheons.
Mm-hmm. Now, Dragon, I wouldn't even bring this up if this very joke wasn't called back this episode, but I have in my notes. But Sophia, it's blood.
Tiki, I'm so looking forward to a certain scene in this episode. You and I are going to lose our minds when we get to it. We're going to, oh my God, I'm getting so excited.
The only thing that would have made that scene better is if Bullock specifically mentioned the chocolate milkshakes.
Oh God, just look at, put a pin in. I'm so excited.
All right.
I'm so excited about it. Okay, anyway.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm sorry. Quick tangent here. That lunch scene wasn't from Spirit of the Goat, was it?
No, it was from that was from the Viper.
Okay, right.
Episode 5.
Just checking. It was like right around that same time.
Goat was 6 or 7, and Viper was 5. So it was either episode right after. So it was real close. You're right. I'm pretty sure it was 6 because then 7 was the Penguin's umbrella.
All right. Anyways.
Anyway. Let's see, getting back to the point. Yeah, it's a point. Sometimes passing the idea is a friendship. Basically, Penguin's starting to trust Sophia, and it seems that he might. It seems that he's kind of fallen for her.
Mm-hmm.
which again points to that kind of that interesting seduction, kind of like again that kind of that perverse seduction. Sophia, now she's dating Jim Gordon, kind of. She's the love interest of Jim. She's the love interest. There's physical chemistry, and they've done stuff. There's you got the attraction between her and Jim Gordon, and of course she's kind of the Penguin is falling for her. And I love the scene where just kind of Jim enters in the background, just kind of witnessing this, and I just love the perverseness of all that. Just god, such a
you know what else I love is I really like how Penguin, and I'm sure this was deliberate, that Penguin's basically saying like, oh, I'm so glad I finally have someone to call a true friend, right as Jim walks into the room, which of course is the guy who he's been dying to be friends with the whole series.
I know. Oh god. And again, he's been looking for fill-ins for again, it's kind of like, it's so, I just love how full circle all of this is, T. That's the great thing about Gotham. We have all these great kind of subtle payoffs where like where Gordon was kind of going from surrogate Batman figure to surrogate Batman figure, and in this case, you have Penguin's. Of course, he wants that friend figure in Jim Gordon, but then he's going to Bruce Wayne. He went to the Riddler. He went to Bruce Wayne, and now he's going to Sophia.
Mm-hmm.
So he's basically Penguin is filling the Enigma void in many ways. Essentially, also again potential romantic thing with the Enigma thing as well. So I love kind of. Jim wanders in there again. Such an interesting love. It's just an interesting kind of relationship triangle. I don't even call it a love triangle necessarily. It's again such a great kind of twisted triangle between these three.
To be honest with you, I feel the chemistry with Penguin and Sophia in this episode more than I ever did with Jim and Sophia.
And again, I can't say that might not be intentional, Tiki. I think maybe that's it's more of a physical attraction. That's more of maybe kind of it's a one-sided attraction, the other side. So I don't know. Again, I think the main point is that Sophia's at the top of this pyramid, at the top of this triangle, that she's the manipulator in both of these relationships. Anyway, so basically after Penguin leaves, they set a lunch date. Jim is asking, "What's your plan right now?" As it seems, you're giving Penguin all this power, which again seems really counterintuitive to the mission. Now I think Sophia, Christopher Reeve's doing such a good job playing Sophia in this season. She's just she seems to have a plan. She's selling me so hard on kind of Sophia being like this force is kind of easing into the city and taking over slowly. She's making all the right power moves. Where she promises the Jim, "Hey, in a few days, Penguin will basically be wrapped around my finger. It'll be in my power, so we can actually do stuff in Gotham. If not, and again, I love this. She says, you can decide what to do with me." You're basically saying, "Hey, I'll leave or I'll stay." Again, like she's giving Jim all the it's great kind of subtle psychology she's laying on Jim Gordon. I love to see how she's controlling all of these guys. It's awesome.
Sure.
Very interesting. Okay.
Now the scene. I'm sorry, I just trusted again, but the scene that should have been the cold open.
Yep. So basically, we have a money handoff between some corrupt cops in the.
I believe this guy's name is Minsker.
Yeah, Metzger.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Basically, the one who's like the one that lingers back. That's the first victim here, Metzger. Anyway, so Metzger basically it's in this really good set. I love how it's shot again.
Dragon, I just want to say, eventually when you see it, because you are going to see it, right? Eventually,
like when it comes on demand. Yeah.
Okay. So eventually, there's a scene in it that is very similar to this, with like the wandering into the alley and the creepy red room and everything.
Well, again, it's the horror movie atmosphere here. Of course, plays in the kind of that pseudo Halloween special we got going on here. Again, kind of the light Gotham tradition.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, seriously, it's really well staged. Kind of the alley, the rain it feels so Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, Metzger, he basically is lured into a trap, finds a little kitty cat. And then, of course, the great reveal, and this is in the promo, and this is great, and it's such a great introduction to Professor Pyg. We've teased Professor Pyg not just in that Balloon Man episode, we teased him in the Scarecrow episode, because we had pigs involved. So
Right,
yeah. There have been subtle teases to Pyg, actually in the first episode even, because you have that butcher guy, who is kind of, again, basically it's a different mask, but kind of a similar archetype to Pyg. So we've been building pigs lightly throughout this, throughout the series.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, then we have the great oink, oink. And we have Pyg with the cleaver and just, like a horror movie cut, it's like, oh my God, that's a great cold.
I just love this guy's voice, Dragon. I can't stress enough how much this guy's voice just creeps me the hell out.
That's on the money from when Like, rarely is Professor Pyg, because he's such a horrifying character, has he been brought to life in an animation or live action. But on the rare occasions that he always has like a dignified way of speaking. He's always like this kind of.
It kind of reminds me of Bane almost, like Nolan Bane, obviously.
Yeah, sure. I mean, certainly, but a little bit more educated. And that's kind of what they're going for there. He's very much, very dignified. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Yes. Okay.
Like kind of the hoity-toity British thing almost.
Oh yeah, I mean, Beware the Batman has a really good. He has like kind of a.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Like he was like one of the main villains of that show, right?
Yeah, he was like one of the. He was recurring then main. That's the thing.
Okay.
He was like he was in the first episode. He has like kind of a Cockney, kind of like an old British doctor sort of thing going on. Anyway, so let's see. Yes, we have. We have Jim and Bullock on the case. They're on the case. They're in the alley the next morning. They note that basically Bullock's informing.
I like the reveal of this because Gordon's basically like, wait a minute, there's all these officers around and no one knows the identity. Well, the thing about that, Jim, is then we see the pig mask.
Yeah, so we reveal that again. Initially, I thought it was going to be more horrifying, but I'm still. It's still horrifying enough. I mean, I thought they were going to go like really next level. But, basically sewing the pig to the face, which thankfully they did not do.
Well, honestly, I like that they didn't go that route because I think it's more horrifying to me because it's more realistic that this guy is literally just carving off pig faces and slapping them onto people's heads.
Yeah, so
you know what I mean? Like, there's not a lot of work involved there.
Sure. So, the badge was taken. Again, there's a message in the kind of the tableau here. The badge was taken, and we have the real pig face mask put on the victims here. All, of course, police. Not only just police. Metzger is recognized as one of Penguin's bagmen. Basically, these are Penguin's guys who deliver the money to the GCPD. So.
Also, I love how the mystery gets sewn with Bullock here.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can track this. You can track like all the things that Bullock knows. Of course, building to the ultimate.
Dragon, can I just say this reveal with Bullock very much reminded me of Mr. Robot.
I didn't really get that, but I kind of see that now. You bring it up.
Just kind of like the the shady intentions that are coming to the surface and everything. I don't know.
So I love tracking kind of Jim's kind of stance on this. Again, I like that we're still seeing that through. I think here is more appropriate than it's been before. Before we just kind of by the numbers here. It's like it's a personal stakes thing going on here. Where Jim, he's very displeased. Working. Basically, he's displeased. How Penguin is just he's corrupting the GCPD at this point. Mainly, he's so displeased with the fact that working for the Penguin in the GCPD is so commonplace now. It's basically Jim kind of aware that it's such a losing battle, trying to fight for nobility in the GCPD. So I'm really liking that. I'm liking that we're reaching that year one quality with Jim Gordon all over this season with stuff like that.
Right.
So anyway, basically. Seeing this, Jim's off to question the Penguin because, of course, one of Penguin's bagmen.
Jim, don't go stirring the pot.
Which, of course, is a little breadcrumb for Bullock later on.
Right.
Meanwhile, and I love this scene. Oh boy, do I love this scene! So Penguin is preparing for lunch with Sophia.
So speaking of Mr. Robot, I have in my notes Penguin kind of pulls a white rose because Gordon's like, "Hey, I need to talk to you." Well, if it takes 3 minutes, then by all means.
It's kind of funny that we actually have had White Rose and Gotham.
Of course.
He's not in this episode, but
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, this is a great scene. Again, I love. We had some really strong, Jim and Penguin scenes all over this season. Like basically, Penguin kind of at the height of his power here, and kind of Jim just kind of walking in on him with these little meetings. And I love that we keep kind of structuring these in there. And this one, I think, so far is the best written out of them. Honestly. It's like a 3-minute conversation. Again, they're firing into their dynamic. Like they're so just so used to each other at this point. Jim warns that someone is sending Penguin a message with these pig-related crimes. This is what I'm talking about, the back and forth here. What kind of message? Someone put a pig head on them. Basically, someone put a pig head on them. Not a very clear message. Again, just really good back and forth dialogue all throughout the scene like that, and very directly. And again, this is what I'm loving that. Again, after all these seasons, these two guys they're friends whether they like it or not on some level.
Right.
Basically, Jim's very directly. Again, Jim's warning the Penguin to an extent, but at the same time, he just wants to get it taken care of. Says very directly, Jim asks the Penguin, "Look, are you involved or are you not? I need to know this." And he responds, "Jim, if these threats were directed at me, I'd know." and I deal with it. Like again, it's really cool. And then we have this great line by Gordon: "Always one step ahead, Oswald. That's why I'm alive." And he gives Jim a wink, basically saying, "Of course, basically, it's such a great, like, it's like that's why I'm alive," referencing the whole Penguin's umbrella plot from the first season, like how Penguin's always so unkillable, and he's so clever and really well layered scene there. So scene gets even more interesting when right before Gordon leaves. I love that Penn enters on cue. By the way, Mr. Penn descends the staircase just as Gordon's about to leave.
Right.
And again, this is so great. Penguin, again, I love it when we have these sorts of scenes with Robin Lord Taylor. Robin Lord Taylor just kind of plays the fact that he has all the cards stacked in his favor. It feels so much like Sidney Greenstreet and Humphrey Bogart, kind of like something like Maltese Falcon Gamers. Like he respects the one-upsmanship to an extent.
Oh yeah.
Basically. Oh, yeah. He gives Jim a lead, the Wally Clark lead. The fact there's a guy who's been who kind of filed through the licenses to kind of rob the pork barrel, basically rob some pig stuff. And
of course, it's showing the usefulness of the licenses, and Penguin kind of rubs that in his face.
Yep. Next time you need help doing your job, Jim. And again, it's like he's viewing it as like a friend. Again, it's his way of getting his friendship. And
like, I'm an open book, Jim.
Again, also I love the gesture he makes. His pen is like kind of revealing that. It's just like gives the gesture, like, yeah, you see. I love how cocky he is in that scene. That's what cracks me up. Just that little gesture. But I mean, yeah, I just love. Jim's he's so bothered. It bothers Jim so much that the licenses does have its uses that you can track every crime.
Like that probably pisses him off even more.
It doesn't have the perfect line to end.
Useful.
I know. It's so great. That's what's selling me on the licenses. And if I was like kind of skeptical on the license, this is the kind of stuff that's selling me on. That okay, now we're showing that divide between the Jim and Penguin's kind of like their gentleman's moral kind of battle this season. It's like a gentleman's like, I'm my way. It's almost like hey, I'm going to prove my way is the better way. Well, let me the best man win, sort of thing. Where Penguin has this great line, kind of signifying that I'm rooting for you, Jim. It's so friendly. It's like this is the way. It's like this again. Penguin has put Jim in that season 1 position again of like, hey, I can be your Batman. Like I can help you out. I'm rooting for you, buddy. It's
right.
Oh man, I'm loving all that stuff. So moving on. Take us through some of the big stuff.
Okay, so Professor Pyg is like just, he's hard at work, and there's this delightful opera music playing, Dragon. And
this is what Pyg does, Buzz.
I love the justification between the juxtaposition. I'm sorry, between the scene and the music. I love how it's edited together.
Oh yeah, and what's great about this is that again, if anyone, honestly, to my knowledge, the only real other kind of like, I guess, animators, only other time we've had Pyg brought to life was in the Arkham game, and everything else has just been in the comics. But in the Arkham game, they kind of bring the element to life that we see here and from the comic, where Pyg, he views himself from high society, and he sings opera while he's working. He does this, and of course we utilize Michael Cerveris his singing capabilities. Who, by the way, fun fact. The actor who plays Professor Pyg actually is a music professor.
Right.
Fun fact. So I mean, we're so dead on. We changed we changed the execution. Basically, we're faithful in the characterization of Pyg. Again, he's doing the opera music. He's really creepy. He looks identical.
I just want to point out in the scene, I love. There's this moment. This is what I'm talking about with the music, where he holds up the pig mask, and then the opera singer gives like this deep belly laugh, like oh 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 oh.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
My point is like we have like a really interesting blend with Pyg, where again, basically he's performed and we changed the execution of Pyg's modus operandi, like his reasons for doing things. Like it's a little different, but the execution of his performance is dead on. Like that's absolutely Professor Pyg. I'm amazed by how faithfully they got that down. Basically, he didn't really have like a corrupt cop thing going on there. That's
kind of like Grundy. You know what I mean? Where Grundy, yeah. I'm imagining we haven't really done like a weird best friends angle with Grundy in any of the stuff, but it works.
Yeah. Again, the closest thing we have, like some like with Bizarro Superman, not really with Grundy before. But yeah, it's. I don't want to explain it, but so say there's technically a thing with Hawkgirl, but it's not really important. It's just a one-off kind of thing. All right. Anyway, my point is, yes, Tiki. I mean, yeah, like the whole corrupt cop angle and the fact that you kind of it's an interesting thing that does kind of connect a lot of our storylines together. Basically, the whole Penguin license thing does connect to the Pig story, which kind of makes it all kind of worthwhile in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, I guess put a pin in that. I don't know if it's going to come back, but anyways, kind of set a piece on that. So, moving forward.
Yeah, so Jim and Bullock are interrogating Wally, which is the lead that Jim got.
Yes. Basically, they learn that he is supplying pigs after they have like their classic run around. You know, they're kind of like, you know, Bullock's like, okay, I'm just gonna put the murder on him. Okay,
I don't need a confession.
Yep. Of course, labeling him as a cop killer is something no criminal wants on his record, because of course it's gonna, you know, revenge will be expected. Basically, he supplied the pigs to the professor. Of course, later on he'll be called
the
Professor.
Prof.
Yes, the professor. Essentially, that's why he robbed the butchers. He robbed the butchers, he cut the heads off, and he delivered them under a bridge. And his heads, how many? 4. And again, this episode is very reminiscent of Balloon Man. Like, how many balloons were taken?
You know what? You're right. It is like it's the same kind of like serial killer mystery, kind of like Seven.
Yeah. So armed with that information, Jim and Bullock, they suspect the next victims will be other bagmen or other people on Penguin's payroll, which leads to a search, which we're going to cut with a lovely montage later on.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so Zaz, meanwhile, takes her to the Zaz scene.
Well, first of all, I just want to point out how fancy Penguin's lunch is. It's so fancy.
I mean, the salad even looks
right.
That's the thing. That is such a Tiki. That is a well composed salad. And the bread, Tiki, the bread is amazing.
Have you ever heard the analogy that Disneyland is like the best salad in the world?
No, I've never heard that. Is that true?
Like every other salad is just lettuce and tomatoes, but Disneyland is like croutons and oregano and cheeses, and that's what makes Disneyland. I'm sorry,
you had me with croutons, Tiki. You had me at croutons.
Like Disneyland is like a salad with a bunch of different croutons.
Yeah, but I mean,
Tiki, croutons are like rides. Anyway,
it sounds so silly, but I mean, the bread was. I love that the bread was arranged, Tiki. There was like so much bread. It was like this fancy divider in this really fancy. I wanted to know what the other courses were.
Oh, God, you're right. I hear you.
Anyway, take us through before we linger on the food anymore. Just keep going.
Oh man, so
Zaz walks in going.
So she's not coming. Something came up. I don't know. I wasn't listening as Penguin asked, like, what came up.
I love Zaz and Penguin's dynamic.
Of course, Zaz, he takes some bread without asking.
Because he doesn't want to go to waste. And taking this place into the hole again. Zaz wanted the food. Again, like, Zaz was screwed out of that muffin.
Yeah, the muffin. I'm still bitter about that damn muffin.
Screwed out. That's why Zaz, like, I'm never going to let that opportunity slip through my fingers. Remember that stretch in season 2 where Zaz was shot and then we didn't see him for like the rest of the season?
Yeah, I do.
And basically, I imagine every time Zaz kind of had like a little arc, like, you know what? I'm going to take what I want. I'm going to take the food that I want. Wait, that's for I'm going to stick up for myself. I'm not going to ask for the muffin. I'm going to take the muffin next time. In this case, bread. He's asserting his food rights. Anyway, so yes, Zaz informs Benny that he's been stood up. Also, the great thing we have with Zaz here, it's such like a boyhood thing, or it's just like they're so. It's like Zaz is Penguin's like underling friend here in so many respects, where he's just he picks up on the Penguin having feelings for her. It's like, you like her, don't you? Oh no, she has cooties. No way. It's kind of that sort of
right.
That's what the Penguin is in Arsenal for feelings of Sophia, which I think he's feeling for Sophia. And again, I love that we know where it's coming from. Obviously, Sophia is manipulating him, and I love the way to the Penguin's heart is through his mother.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Of course, again, she's kind of like being the motherly connection that he did not have. Again, pulling with Fish Mooney pulled. It's all linear, folks. It all comes around. Anyway, keep going.
Okay, so let's see. So Grundy is
Well, he has Zaz follower too. That's like the last.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, yeah. So we're at Cherries. Cherries. I think you stepped that last episode when we were doing when I introduced Cherries. So Cherries like the fight, the person who runs the underground fighting ring.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Grundy's being introduced, and like they ask where he's from, and he's like, "Grundy come from swamp."
which is accurate.
Yes.
Yes, and basically, Grundy enters the ring with the hammer.
Oh God. And so I love how it becomes the signature move of Grundy to beat his opponent's faces in with their own weapon.
Yeah, that's so horrifying, but so cool at the same time. Oh, we have this great gag here. We have the fight now gag, where basically, so Grundy, again, before he essentially takes a beating at first, thinking, of course, he's going to survive because he's Grundy. Essentially, kind of zombie Frankenstein, which who doesn't like a zombie Frankenstein? He has this thing where, he was asking, "What's up? I mean, what are you doing?" And says, "Grundy fight now?" "Yes, Grundy fight now." Pretty easily wins, and I like that we kind of see Lee feel sympathy for the misguided. For the misguided Grundy. All that's going on. We're going to lay in some pipe there, Lee and Grundy. Going on there. Meanwhile, yes, montage!
Oh God! So I love I love the way this montage is composed, because basically it's we see two different examples of Gordon losing his cool and going off on the suspects, and Bullock having to pull him back. And then, like, the third one, Bullock's like, "All right, you know what? Do your stuff. Go on, get in there."
Oh, yeah, also, I don't know if you noticed, Bullock slapped the corn dog away from the one cop.
Right. Oh, God.
Yeah, basically, just the point of the montage is that Jim Bolt, they're questioning cops to save them from Pyg, essentially. Basically, like, hey, if you're a bad man, we're going to try to help you. And, of course, the cops are feeling persecuted, like it's IA, like, looking for an opportunity to kind of just grill the cops. So basically they're button heads again, Jim obviously being the more steadfast one, button heads. So getting nowhere. Yeah, we have okay, we'll do it your way. Basically where we have Detective Culpepper here. Detective Culpepper, that we do it Jim's way after his Bullock's exasperated. Jim punches them, they both put him in the trunk, they lock the trunk. And then we have just
hey Jim, I think we forgot to get lunch. I think we got time. We'll be back in a couple hours.
We have time to get some burgers.
And of course, this is after they kind of casually drop, like, "Oh, it's gonna be a hot day, Jim. Yeah, it's 90 out here, maybe 100 in there."
I take it this one. I love Mackenzie and Logue here when they have like the classic Jim and Bullock back and forth. They're like the buddy thing.
I doubt that it was an intentional callback to the "but Jim, it's lunch" thing. I doubt it, but it's so fun that it just calls to mind how little has changed in their dynamics in season 1. You know what I mean?
I know. Again, I love that. I love when they get into the buddy, but like we have basically it's kind of like the bad cop days. I mean, I know Jim's a good cop. I'm just saying there's an Earth 1 reference where they had like this big bonding moment called bad cop. It's like
right.
It's when they're just kind of driving together. And they're this great unit together. It's a really smart interrogation method, but at the same time, it's just so darn fun and charming. Again, just the way Donald Logue just delivers that. Tiki, I don't know if you had to have the same reaction. It's like, you know what, Jim? I think we forgot.
Oh, of course.
Jim, I think we forgot to get lunch. Like the way he said, we're not doing any justice, folks. I think we forgot to get lunch. I was cheering.
I mean, it was pretty similar to the "but Jim, it's lunch."
I know, that's what I know. Oh my God, it was it works like a dream. And
I don't know. It could have been a callback. The more I think about
it, I think it was a callback. I really do. Look, I'm being honest.
Like in our head canon, it was.
Tiki, look, if you want me to make the actual argument, it's that we had a lunch through line with Jim and Bullock with the whole chili dog thing. We've had a through line, so it is in reference to that through line, but specifically.
Oh, that's true.
So we know at least it's derivative of the lunch, of the initial lunch thing.
Right.
So we're at least we got that much for it. I would like the delivery is, "But Jim, it's lunch." Like, oh God, it's great. So the lead they get is Chris Whitlock, who's this cop going to the courthouse. Okay, so Jim and Bullock are walking to the courthouse. But of course, we have Bullock points out the irony of saving Penguin's corrupt cops. And we have a really good line from Jim here. Again, very year 1 line. I'm really loving this. Actually, it's kind of funny. It's kind of such a meta thing here, is that Jim's line, it feels very much like this line that Bruce Wayne has in his internal monologue from year 1. And of course, in the animated movie, Ben McKenzie voiced Bruce Wayne. So that's just kind of the triple of that word. Bad cops deserve to be stripped of their badges, not butchered. Of course, kind of similar to even Scum have families.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, again, I like that. Like that, Jim Gordon is now he's definitely on the path to becoming commissioner here. It's like, okay, now we're getting back to the classic Jim Gordon mentality here. It's all great stuff right there. Anyways, they find 2 more victims. Jenny, I think it's Jenny Blake, basically female cop and a Whitlock, the guy that were going there to see. So 2 dead cops, big mask on, bum bum bum. So Jim and Bullock, they pieced together the bodies were brought there and delivered, basically delivered to that spot to kind of promote an anti-corruption message, so everyone can see them. Of course, no one's talking, especially not the cops. The cops are spooked, very obviously, though. Specifically, Jim's figuring, okay, specifically, this is a message, in reference to the Penguin, the Penguins guys. So we got to find the 4th guy fast. Bullock volunteers to be on it, so Bullock's on again. That's an important little breadcrumb.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, from that lunch, that bread did not go to waste. And Tiki, I'm loving this. Again, I love how we have a lot of great kind of old detective stuff going on with Gordon in this episode. Where we have this great we have this scene with the sax player.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the sax player who is quote unquote blind as he checks out the woman who just kind of walks by. But it's so great. It feels so much out of a 40s movie. That's what I'm loving about this, because he's playing the jazz music, which feels like it feels like noir jazz, like film noir jazz.
Right.
And it's great. Of course, it's a well composed shot to Gordon walking over while that music's playing. I kind of know where this classic scene's going. So Jimmy I love that he puts a tip in the in the saxophone case. And
you're right. It does feel like something out of Bogart.
Yeah. So let's see. So basically, he's asking questions. He gives him a tip. He's asking questions. Of course, he says, "I ain't seen nothing since the war." And of course, Jim, being a veteran does not help this man. Jim kind of, okay, well, thanks anyway. He kind of takes a few steps, and very cleverly, he tosses his keys at him. He catches the keys and realizes, oh, I've given myself away, darn it.
I mean, unless he's Matt Murdock, that is.
Yes, but then why would he admit to that? It's like, hey, I'm going to be there. Maybe Turk Barrett was the blind guy all along.
Oh, God. Oh, man.
Maybe he's just faking it. Anyway, no, that's ridiculous. That's why he's on Stranger Things. No.
Oh, man.
But basically, our sax player gives the tip of that Filippelli, basically the Filippelli plumbing van tip.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Filippelli, but it was Philip something. Anyway. Basically, that plumbing van delivered the bodies and just kind of went by, so now they have like a direct vehicle to kind of track. Okay, Milo, thanks for Lee, Patch, and Grundy.
Okay, let's see. So, first of all, I love how Grundy's main form of communication is Grundy from Swamp. Yeah, I know. I heard. See, so Leah, she's marveling at Grundy. She's like, "Oh, you don't have a heartbeat." Like, I love how he kind of like oozes swamp water instead of blood.
I like how we're addressing the zombie stuff without, we're not like hitting you over the head with it, but we're acknowledging, okay, his heart is not beating. So
it's kind of like it's well placed exposition because it comes from a character who would be genuinely fascinated by it.
Yeah. So we kind of had this sort of scene with Lee and Jerome in the previous season as well.
Right. Anyways, so she's trying to, convince Grundy that Ed isn't his friend. And, of course, Grundy's just like, Ed Grundy's best friend.
Oh, ain't that Drew Pell sweet the way he says that sort of thing. Like, he believes that man is his friend.
And Ed, of course, walks in on this conversation. And
he rubs it in Lee's face. He rubs the money in Lee's face.
Yes. I love how he gives Grundy a high five.
Of course, also it hurts his hand too because of the immense strength that Grundy's putting out. Lee, she still refuses to help Nigma. Of course, she tells Cherry that she is leaving early. Of course, Cherry mentions their deal, which of course piques Nigma's interest, and Nigma follows her. And this is the real that sold me on the direction we're going with Lee this season.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because Tiki, I swear to God, I wanted to bring up in the last episode, but I didn't want us to run long. But I don't know why I didn't mention it. I don't know, but I was going to mention this in speculation, so I guess it's kind of a missed opportunity now. But basically, of course, all the dread we were feeling about Lee, I was going to bring up that the only thing I could possibly, and again, I'm not just making this up, folks. I swear to God, I was going to say this at the last one. But the only feasible way we could save Lee would be to bring her bring her back to the roots that we have not done yet on the show, where she runs the free clinic. And eventually, years later, Batman will visit when he's injured and he can't go to a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just basically kind of get Leslie Tompkins back to being kind of a doctor, the free clinic doctor. You kind of helping the downtrodden in Gotham. And I was so excited when this happened, like, oh my god, they did it. They were right.
It's pretty much exactly that.
I know. It's like, okay, we did. Yeah, it was the only move we had left, and it was the smart move. It's and again, they sold me. It wasn't just like, okay, we're just doing the only thing we can really do with this character now. But it was so cool to see her kind of fully realize what I've always kind of been waiting from. I've been waiting for him to get to this point with Lee, honestly. Waiting to get to that kind of that eventual Batman point with her here, and we're kind of there.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. So they did the impossible. They fixed Lee, and she's back. So yeah, I'm happy about that. You?
Yeah. No, I'm very pleased. Of course, especially because it killed us, Dragon, to be so hard on Morena Baccarin last season.
I was just so the hairstyle did not fill me with confidence either. But again, now I see, okay, that was just complete. It was just like unfounded silliness. Like, oh my god, yeah, she's back and she's better than ever. Hooray! Good writing. Yeah.
Of course, the Riddler's, he's watching all this and his head is filling up with bad intentions.
Yes. Meanwhile, Zaz is photographing Sophia Falcone's meeting with the mayor and some other officials. So, she's getting around. That's Sophia Falcone.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Jim has a list of cops who haven't reported in, which means, okay, these guys might be some leads. Bullock reveals that he knows who it is. And again, breadcrumbs, folks, breadcrumbs. I love this. Love Ben McKenzie's just playing the realization, okay, Gordon's taking this in. On the rewatch, you can see, okay, Gordon's taking this down. This is going to inform the stuff he's going to find out later on.
Better be careful not to lay down too many breadcrumbs, Dragon, or else Harold's going to eat them.
Well, it's jelly beans.
Right. But I was hungry. I'm sorry, I just want an excuse to say that.
When you say it like that, I'm just imagining kind of like Harold auditioning for young Bullock.
God.
But Jim, it's
lunch. Anyways.
Okay, so anyway, we find out it's not Nakajima. Mm-hmm. Officer Nakajima is the missing guy, so that's the one they're going after. Basically, Bullock he closes the office door and he tells Jim, we got to play this close to the vest. We don't want, basically theorized that. And again, we find this is most likely bunk that kind of Bullock's kind of laying out there, but maybe he's, he works for the GCPD, which is why he would be privy to it. So we should just keep it between you and me. Mm-hmm. All right, so now we're basically we get Harper reveals the truck led to the truck was spotted going to the abandoned dairy. So that's where they go next.
All right, then we get another tease of Pig, and I like how they're slowly building him up. You know what I mean?
What do you think of the horror movie van edit, where basically we take like a shot at in between the vans, so like it kind of pops into the camera like pop, pop, pop.
Yeah, it worked. It worked for sure.
Oink, oink.
Oink, oink, little piggy.
Oh, that's so terrifying.
God.
Oh, jeez. Oh, man, Ralph Bakshi would love this.
Oh, God. It's a family picture.
Oh, God. So, let's see. Okay, we see another brutal Grundy win in the ring, which, by the way, I don't know if you noticed, is like he took like basically a nail bat, almost like a Stranger Things nail bat to the hand.
Right.
And if you look, it actually impales the hand, but he can't feel it because of the undead thing.
You know what's funny about this? I'm sorry, I'm going to go off on a Walking Dead tangent really quick, Dragon. So Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character is his signature weapon is a barbed wire line baseball bat. And his signature move is to smash people's head in with said baseball bat. Mm. So I'm just saying, a little bit of connection there.
So basically,
Grundy's signature move.
Are you suggesting that perhaps Grundy is in another life he would be the Negan character, dead but back as a walker?
Oh God, Yes, that would be.
But back is a nicer guy, though. Well, if Negan was back, is a much nicer guy.
Oh man.
It's like all he needed to be.
I will admit, Dragon, that a zombie coming back from the dead and kind of like being like actually having a character is not something that the comic has tackled yet. That I've kind of been intrigued by the idea of.
That would be kind of neat. Just like Negan, this horrible monster of a guy, just comes back as like a really nice guy, like really of an innocence.
Anyways.
Anyway, Jeffrey Dean Morgan aside, he's Thomas Wayne in the movies.
Oh God, so, yes.
On
honestly, Jeffrey Dean Morgan was the only reason I was even comfortable bringing it up. So,
okay, let's see. So, Penguin, I love this. He's had the down
wings. I just want to point that out.
He's eating fried chicken. I love that we showed
how he's disposing the bones into a bucket.
Yes, I just love Penguin in his depression. He is eating fried chicken. Well, earlier on, we saw this lovely meal, which again, I'm so eager to know what the other courses were.
Right.
I'll never know this. Just the fact that he's just been forced to get fried chicken. So he gets the Sophia news, which leads to basically feelings of doubt and betrayal, where he's basically Penguin's formed the theory after the fact she's buying the Heritage Hotel, which basically leads Penguin to kind of theorize and assume that she's mounting an empire. She's, building a fortress with the hotel and, making political alliances. Essentially, she's gearing for war to avenge, her father's, territory under the Penguin's control here. And we have basically, he tells Zaz to prepare for a shovel chat.
Now, just to be clear, is this a chat or a shove them in the trunk kind of chat?
No, bring the shovel, Tiki. It's, shovel.
Oh, my bad.
I like yours as well. I'm just saying, I think, shovel's just kind of...
Right.
Bring the shovel. Okay, meanwhile, Enigma takes through the same, Tiki.
All right, so, Riddler, let's see. So first of all, I love how he's just like so insistent that it has to be Lee who fixes him. Like, honestly, I think that's part of his brain damage, that he's so intent on that.
To be fair, it is sort of... I'm sorry, I just wanted to infuse real quick that it does make sense that, he would... I think it's because it ties to the Kristen Kringle. I think that's why he's going to Lee.
I mean, I guess, but like I think she also has a point where it's like, just hire a neurosurgeon for God's sake, I
like that they addressed that though. So I mean, you're not wrong, T. I'm just saying I think that's why, in his dumb state, that's why he's kind of going on instinct over the smart move.
Oh God, and Dragon, I think if there was any doubt that Miranda Baccarin was back before this scene just kind of like clenched it that she's absolutely back and in top form.
Back.
So basically, Riddler's like calling out like, Cherry lets you, he's like, I know about the clinic, and Cherry lets you keep doing it as long as you work the fights, and it makes you vulnerable to blackmail and threats. And I like how, Lee, she's not intimidated in the slightest. She's just like, oh, really? Well, hit me. And then Riddler, he delivers perhaps the line of the episode, if you don't help me, I am going to do something to that clinic.
No, I love this. This fills me with joy here. And again, Lee notwithstanding, this is just Baccarin just going to be wonderful here.
It's just Miranda Baccarin being adorable.
The laugh that she gives in Nick's face.
Oh my God, you really are smart.
Oh God! Honestly, I love just kind of play that reaction to her, like watching herself.
Oh God!
I would take it optimistically. I would like to think, she would take it in stride. And she would take it that way. I would like to think that. I have no bearing because again, I still feel guilty that we had to rake Baccarin over the coals last season because we love her. But
like I said, I think this episode alone is kind of proof that it was all in the writing last season.
Exactly.
So
anyway, so basically Enigma's like kind of stymied again. Meanwhile, we're at the creepy dairy at night. I love it. At night, like the dairy is so creepy. I have good flashlight shots here, and we have like narrow alleyways. We have again like all these great trappings, like this big spacious environment full of like machinery and and stuff. And again, like kind of these beams of light coming from good flashlight shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, we have this horrific scene with Nakajima. Nakajima, we reveal, is not only wearing a pig mask. Basically, when they remove the pig mask, we reveal that he has inside inside his stomach. And this is classic Professor Pyg doing the surgical horrors of Professor Pyg.
God. And Dragon, I know you and I kind of share a
yeah.
fear of like horror surgery.
Oh yeah, I'm with you there. Yes, like the Arkham game does a more horrific version. See, I'll say this now, just so you know what Pyg is usually doing. Tiki, real quick, is that to boil it down, because again, Pyg's kind of complicated. Is that he's trying to make like a unified race. He takes gender out of people. He makes them dollatrons. They're basically like living dolls. See, that's what he turns people into. He, like, injects them with a weird serum that kind of makes their skin all weird, and basically makes them like living, like they're living, but they no longer have identity of like they're no one. They're made to look like these. They wear dresses and there's like they're dolls.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the Dollatron. And in his basically Pyg's trying to make the world perfect. He's trying to make the world perfect dolls. And it's body horror. It's creepy. In the Arkham games, they do like a more of the scary surgical angle on that, where it's kind of less campy and over the top. Like Morrison get away with anything. That's the thing with Morrison, where he can make the campy terrifying.
Right.
It's the thing, like he will make 60s Batman your worst nightmare if you gave Grant Morrison the 60s Batman.
Oh God!
I swear to God.
Oh, I'm sure he could. Oh man.
That's it, man. Pyg essentially is a campy Batman villain, but turned with all the horrific implications on the surface.
Which, of course, kind of makes him like a signature villain for this particular show. What do you think about it?
Exactly. Again, we remember, Tig, we've had a few Morrison characters before with Flamingo. That was another Morrison character.
Right. Although I don't think Flamingo was like
no. I'm just saying
he's again villain of this show, but
nor was he the best adapted either. I'm just saying this guy, he is. The Pyg is straight off the page in many regards. Anyway, I'm saying it kind of fits into the creepy adaptations of Pyg, and it's not necessarily like the surgeon trying to make the perfect person necessarily. We're not doing that with it, but we're still doing like all the horrific kind of like alterations to people and kind of the whole Pyg angle. So anyway, basically we reveal like he has like an incision in his stomach where a grenade is kept, and basically fed through his throat almost is basically, when you remove the mask, you take the pin out of the grenade. So that thing is fed all through his body. Oh, it's creepy.
It's kind of like a Saw death trap or something.
I like that Nakajima, as corrupt a cop as he was, I like that in his last moments he said, "Run!"
Yeah, that was great. And
this was
like a Die Hard moment or something.
And I know that we blew up Theo Galavan, but at the same time, this was brutal. We just blew this, like there was nothing in Nakajima left. That's a way to cut the commercial, by the way. Boom. Okay, big scene.
Oh yeah. So I like how the episode built up to this scene. You know, we didn't just spoil all the big stuff all up front. We built to it. So oh man.
Here we go.
What tickled Pyg to meet you. I'd shake your hand if it was possible. Of course, Gordon's tied to the chair.
Yes, Jim Awakens tied to the chair in darkness. Well, I love that the scene is just the setting and everything of the scene. Like it's in a dark room, like that one dangling light source that he's kind of like right next to Pyg's head in the image right there.
Yeah,
so,
right.
And he can use that to like kind of raise it and stuff. It's like, oh man, it's such a great. It's so simple in design, but it's so perfect and creepy.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea, and this is fascinating to me with Pyg. Well, again, it's a reinvention on Pyg. It's a natural reinvention for Gotham. I think it's a good kind of, again, it's tying into our running plots here. So I approve of the kind of the changes because again, they're characterizing him so perfectly. But we can take some liberties. It's perfectly fine. Again, with the Grundy example that Teague laid out earlier, I agree full-heartedly.
Of course.
So I mean, the idea that Pyg, who's very anti-corruption, logically would be Gordon's biggest fan. I love that.
Right.
Great. So he tries to, Gordon tries to kind of reach him for a moment there, and then Pyg cuts him off instantly. Just, cuts off the attempt. I'm sorry. Are you trying to reason with me?
It's trying to appeal to what I have in common.
I was about to do the same to you.
Oh God.
and doing so, again, basically he tries to sell Gordon to his side. Again, that's such a really well performed scene. Michael Severus, he's doing such a great job in this episode.
Oh yeah, I mean the voice alone is great, but then also just mixed with just his body language and the way he moves around, and like you said, the way he plays with the light.
Like he's walking around Gordon this whole scene, like he's like tapping him on the shoulder all playfully and stuff, and he has like the sausage. He offers him the sausage and everything. Oh God, it's so yeah. So basically says, I'm doing what you're doing. And I love that one of my favorite bits. Jim, may I call you Jim? One of my favorite.
Right.
I just love how polite. And again, he's basically speaking like a professor. It's kind of the gag there. He's very dignified in his
That's
approach.
kind of like the dignified, like hoity-toity Britishness that kind of reminds me of Bane.
Yeah. So he basically says, "I'm doing what you're doing, but with more flair."
So essentially, he's Batman.
Basically, yes, I'm cut again. Another Batman-esque figure.
Right.
Well, again, this is obviously like going too far and way out of the way of the purview of Batman. I'm going to cut out the
basically
cancer.
Batfleck.
Essentially, he wants to cut out. Well, again, it's more kind of surgical and precise Batfleck.
Well, yeah, I know. I'm kidding.
I know. But yeah, basically, he has this great line. I'm going to cut out the cancer that is corruption, and basically, it's with more flair.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he plans on butchering.
No one wants to see how the sausage is made, but once it is made, isn't it delicious?
I love that he's gesturing with the sausage after this point. It just looks so. It looks so kind of like sustainably. It looks so kind of Kubrickian phallic in a way, where basically it's like how Kubrick always had like these. Kubrick always had kind of the phallic items in the movies. He always did, and he's just pointing to Gordon, and it's so weirdly framed, but again, intentionally. So basically, he says he wants to butcher all the, and I love basically we're having this new methodology applied to Pig here, which I'm really interested to see where they're going with it. We don't know what brought Pig to this state, which I'm sure we're going to learn. Mm-hmm. And the idea here that the GCPD, corruption in the GCPD in this city really screwed him over.
Right. I like how they tease that backstory. It's like it's really intriguing.
Because he wants to butcher all the swine on Penguin's payroll, which would be half the GCPD.
Of course, I would imagine the pig wordplay there.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying to you. It's like we're making. He chose the pig as again, like again with the Batman comparison. He's wearing it's kind of the Batman, and importantly, the Scarecrow. Mm-hmm. Kind of stuff we've been having.
Also, I love how he changes his voice just ever so slightly when he's getting like really desperate, talking about how the police like ruined his life.
Because basically, Gordon calls him out on it, saying, this is a crazy vendetta of yours," and he basically says, "No, I'm not crazy." Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, very seriously, basically, my motives are mine. Basically, my motives are very very serious.
Also, did we mention that he's also trying to call out Bullock as a corrupt cop in the scene?
Well, yeah, that's what the builds do, but I guess one last thing here is I want to make sure I hit it. Again, with the whole, I think what we're building with a lot of these characters, like Scarecrow and like Pig, and I think what we're really tying together real nicely is that it's people kind of picking an omen, picking that totem, picking that that dramatic symbol where like Scarecrow, it's like I'm going to face I've owned my demons, I've become my own demon. With Pig's case, I don what has ruined my life: pigs, swine in the GCPD, and hence the Pig moniker. And of course, we're kind of building, I think, to the end of the season when Bruce would maybe take to the Bat Totem.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I like that we're kind of connecting like a subtle theme with that. Anyway, so yes, then Bullock. Basically, he then points out that Bullock is not so noble. Mm-hmm. I like that Jim does try to help this man who was kind of broken by the GCPD's corruption. I think on some level, whether Jim admits it or not in the scene, because he's saying this, he might just be saying this to escape. But at the same time, I'd like to think that Jim is trying to help Pig a little bit in this scene, where he's saying, like, "Hey, let me help you."
Oh yeah, sure.
He does get it, and again, you'll see a similarity there. Of course, Gordon would not go to butchering people.
All right, so as Bullock kind of walks in, I like how Pig kind of like, he goes right back to the performance art. He's like, "Oops, gotta go."
Again, he says, "We'll be seeing each other again, Jim." He has to go to Bullock, and of course, Jim tries to warn him, but it's it's too late. And I
gotta say, it's so simple, but I love how Jim gets out of the chair.
Yes, I'm with you there.
Simple.
And this is how you do it, folks. You have to, if you're ever, here's some helpful advice to anyone who's ever trapped by a chair. You have to break the legs of the chair. You have to go backwards. You have to fall. It's going to hurt like the dickens, but it's the way to get out of there, folks. Is hope it's a wooden chair. That's the only hope. If it's a metal chair, then you're sunk.
Right.
If it's a wooden chair, you can get out of it.
Oh God. I like how we're giving advice of how to get out of the kidnapping like it's a freaking makeup tutorial.
Anyway, Anyway, but yeah, you're right, Dan. Like I like the intensity. Like Bullock is like off to the side, and again, Bullock and Jim could could basically try to comfort him, like, "Hey, backup's on its way." And of course, Jim's lying through his teeth on that one. Backup is not on its way. As again, it's kind of in that spirit of the goat setting of like there's a lot of tension in the room. He's like the killer's on the other side. He's got to get out of there. It's like a horror movie build. Anyway, keep going.
Okay, so here we go, man. Like, this scene really freaked me out, I gotta say. Where
Me too.
Yeah, so Pig's got Bullock. He's got him by the throat at knife point, and long story short of it, Bullock's throat is in fact slit in this scene.
Yeah, I mean, I had a feeling he was going to be alive, but at the same time, I'm seeing the liberties we take in the show. I was wondering, like, okay, we're going to kill Bullock and we're going to bring him back somehow.
Oh God,
that's the thing.
One thing that worried me, Dragon, when I was watching this is that you had mentioned that Bullock was going to be taking a break, and honestly, like, based on the screen time, I haven't really seen a lot of evidence of that so far. Like, there's been like one episode where he had like a couple scenes, but then he's been pretty prominent.
And honestly, I just think that episode might be it. But again, we don't know. If we see Bull kind of take a leave, then that will.
It was just like I had in my head the idea that Bullock was going to take a leave, and so that's why like this was like, oh my god, like, is this like a casting thing? Like, is he like, did he get another show?
So basically, Pig is he cuts in such a way that he would give Gordon a choice to either help Bullock or chase Pig. It's very, and again, I love the intensity of the scene. And again, it's Bullock's worst fear of bleeding out. Bullock has a profound fear of bleeding out in Gotham.
Oh yeah, oh god, yeah, that's one of my favorite.
I know, yeah.
Oh god.
So again, Pig escapes as I love like the vulnerability on Ben McKenzie's performance here. Where Jim, again, we set up how it's like the worn friendship between Jim and Bullock in that earlier scene with the whole lunch scene.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it brings it all into the forefront. Oh my god, Jim is genuinely worried and panicking as he's like trying to takes off his tie, is trying to basically kind of put pressure on the wound, essentially, basically make sure he doesn't bleed out. It's gonna be all right, buddy. Like Jim showing some genuine vulnerability there.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Lee is running out of resources at the clinic. That's going to be an important detail.
Yep.
Thanks through Penguin visiting his old pal Sophia.
Oh god, so he's just like basically like calling her out. Like, oh, I know what you're doing. Your father's blood runs through your veins.
Not for long. So basically he knows about her little surprise, and Sophia has an explanation, and you can explain it on the way. Okay, let's see. So then Lee, again, we kind of jump back and forth with these scenes. I guess they wanted to kind of make it not so linear, but kind of have it. It's standard. How you do it. Lee takes Nigma up on his deal. The little deal. I love this. I love how she just I love that we're seeing Nigma at such a disadvantage this season. Basically, she walks up to him and she says, "Give me your money," and he gives her the money without asking what or why first. If she really wanted to, she just could have taken the money and kind of let him on. Right. She could have just purely taken the money there. But basically, she takes Nigma up on the deal. I don't know. I'm not going to make any promises, but I'll do what I can. Basically, I think she's going to go through some neurology contacts. We'll see what she's going to plan.
And of course, she gives her her reasoning for working this job and for having the clinic, which again, Dragon, is just like reselling us on the character. Damn
absolutely. Again, this makes sense. Again, this is them like having a good fix for all the crap we put her through.
Right. It's kind of like a lemonade out of lemon sort of situation.
Yeah. So basically, she's guilty over. Guilty over releasing the virus. She stopped Gordon from stopping the virus in season 3. So, she felt responsible. And I love this because I was wondering how the Narrows were going to fit into this season. I love that we are in fact in the Narrows with all this fighting stuff, and the idea that the Narrows was hit hardest by the virus. So, and again, this fits the Leslie Tompkins at all perfectly. Where she is, she's starting this. She started this free clinic to make things right.
Yeah, good stuff.
It's nice. Also, she points out how Nigma actually could have blackmailed her, and just it was like, oh darn it. Of course, bye, pretty lady. Just again, I think Groening's going to get a lot of mileage out of this. This is going to be like a fun trio. I can see it.
Oh yeah. Ed's going to be smart again. Ed's gonna be smart.
Oh god, I'm so looking forward to this trio. He was just so happy in that scene with the grasshopper, and then just the run down guys patting him on the back like that. The grasshopper pours. That's hilarious.
All right. So Sophia's nefarious plan is she's building an orphanage. Da, da, da.
Which is not so horrifying. So, yeah, and this is I love this line here. Again, this just shows you how Sophia's actually her plan has come to fruition here. Where now it's kind of like I show some doubt, and then I basically buy him back so he'll never doubt me again. Sort of plan. That's kind of what the plan is. I wouldn't put it past her. She wanted to be caught.
That's actually a really good point. Yeah, I like that. I didn't even consider that.
Oh yeah, I mean I've seen this sort of thing before, and I just, on Arrow they've kind of done that sort of thing where you basically you throw away all suspicion, and back in the good seasons of Arrow, back in the good seasons, you throw away all suspicion by basically copying to it, and then of course when it's disproved, it's like okay, we'll never go back to that well again. So I think it's a smart move on Sophia's part if it's intentional, which I would imagine. So. Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course, Penguin apologizes. She has this great line, like before she reveals the orphanage, she says, "Oswald, I want you to know, in advance, I forgive you." And then Oswald he apologizes, and then basically says, "You can make it up to me by taking me to lunch," which is nice.
And also, I like how she points out, that I think there is like an air of genuineness to this dragon that she sees how Penguin just has to keep his guard up all the time. Like, he has to be suspicious of everything. And she kind of sympathizes with that. Like, honestly, that's kind of what I like about this, is that, like, yeah, it's clear she is playing him. But I don't know. Like, I think she has, like, I don't think she's developing, like, a soft spot for him or anything. But I do think she at least feels sorry for him to a certain extent.
That's fair. I mean, she has a great line mentioning that, she doesn't want Penguin to go through her father's burden.
Right.
And I also like with the fact that it's an orphanage. I don't know how intentional this is, but the fact it's an orphanage, it kind of connects to both of their losses in childhood. You basically connects the Penguin's losses, and that Penguin has lost both of his parents. But in the show, we saw that both of his parents were murdered in the show, so he became an orphan in adulthood. But he became an orphan.
Right.
So I don't know. I think that she's strategically playing to the Penguin's the Penguin's weaknesses and getting him completely under her thumb. Meanwhile, we have the beautiful scene of Bullock in the hospital.
I was going to say, like, this is basically, like, I would say this is the closest thing that Donald Logue has come to an Emmy scene in this series.
Take us through it.
Like, maybe this and also the bleed in the alleyway.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so Bullock's waking up in the hospital. His throat is really weak. Of course, Gordon's, he's, like you said, he's saying, like, Pyg basically, like, cut him deep enough to have Gordon make a choice. And, Bullock, he's very, of course, he's very thankful. He's like, he owes him. And, oh boy, here we go. And I love how gentle Gordon is with this.
This feels like such a scene from the comics, because they've done stuff like this with this in Bullock, where, he would kind of a bumpy road.
All right, pay it back, Harvey. How long have you been taking money from Penguin? And, he's basically calling out all the logic. Like, look, Harvey, you knew all the people on the payroll. What else does he point out?
Yeah, you knew the people on the payroll. He knew it was Nakajima. Like he basically he made sure he was the guy leading the charge and a lot of stuff.
Right.
Like, between they basically want to keep between two of them. Like the breadcrumbs we just kind of laid out beforehand.
I just need to know how long, Harvey. Years. And I love how desperate Donald Logue gets here. He's like, no, not years, just since the scrap started, Jim. And Bullock, he's breaking down in tears, It's like he's really emotional over this.
Let's remind the folks, again, the reason that he's Bullock's getting so worked up about is, again, this shows like the arc that these two characters have been on ever since season one. Again, the season one very much so is Gordon and Bullock's show in that season. Mm-hmm. And the whole premise of the show is that it's kind of Gordon kind of getting Bullock on a straighter, more narrow path, at the very least, kind of an optimistic path, and like fixing the city instead of just rolling with the corruption. Gordon showed him that it was possible, and then as the seasons went on, again, Bullock had become captain. He's gotten that far up the ladder, kind of following Gordon being his mentor for being on the straight and narrow, kind of for a less corrupt Gotham. And at this point, Bullock is kind of, and again, he's in the exact same position as he was in season one, where he's basically coerced in the corruption just for his own survival. He doesn't want to say no, but in this case, it's like it's more complicit on Bullock's part. It's just why the guilt is so compounded on that. Like I kept things running because I have my own debts. I'm in holes here, so I had to. I had to make the choice, and then Gordon very sternly, so fatherly and sternly in this scene, he says, well, it stops now. And again, that moment it signifies, oh yeah, that's the Commissioner Gordon era right there. It's like that's the line that signifies that he's not turning his back on Bullock, but he's saying it stops now.
Oh yeah.
Yes, he's giving him an order. Yes. And of course, Professor Pyg is named on like a little monitor as kind of Jim looks at it as he's leaving the room.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy, and then we have Pyg with a creepy little nursery rhyme to end the episode out on, Dragon.
Now, of course, it's very obvious he's on a pig farm, which just shows you that we saw what he did with 4 Mask, and now there's a whole farm.
Yeah, right. It's a very ominous ending. Yeah.
I love the last line it takes. Do you have any nursery rhyme on you?
I think I have it like this. Might be like slightly paraphrased, but this is most of it.
Well, the one thing we should highlight before we get into real quick is that, of course, the great thing with this episode that I remember telling you about, like before this, I love that we know because we know the actor and probably looked them up if we've seen images yet. But I love that in the episode we have not seen Michael
Cerveris. Yeah.
We've not seen Michael Cerveris, or like again, I don't know if they're going to go with who Pyg usually is in the comics. I mean, they might change that a little bit. So again, I have no idea who this guy is going to be or who he's going to look like. So yeah, I like that we're building the mystery of who is Pyg because we never see him up close.
Mm. All right, 2 mother pigs lived in a pen. They each had 4 piglets, and that made 10. They loved to play and rolled in the mud all day. Insert Chuck roll around in the dirt with me reference here. At night, with the mothers curled up in the heat, they squealed and squealed until they went to sleep. Sleep well. And that's it. That's the episode.
Well, no, there has one last line there at the very end, which is the great. It says, because tomorrow the axe shall fall.
All right. And that's the episode.
Yes.
I think the copy I was watching cut out early.
Yeah, I'm just saying that line is it's really good. Like tomorrow the axe shall fall, basically saying, hey, he's treating the pigs so tenderly, but again, he's going to cut their faces off the next day.
Mm-hmm. All right, so speculation, Dragon. What do we get in the promo?
Okay, promo. Just very to the point here is that Bruce has a new love interest.
Nice.
He's punching someone. We don't know who, so Bruce is kind of getting into a bit of an action scene. Out of costume. Penguin has a new enforcer. I know nothing about this guy, but I guess based on what he looks like in the show here, like Penguin has a new violent enforcer, kind of doing a job for him, basically dealing with Pyg, which is going to put him at odds with the GCPD. Jim and Bullock themselves are at odds, or basically Jim is questioning Bullock's judgment in the field, and it's a really heated argument against some fallout from this, presumably. Mm-hmm. And lastly, we just have Pyg basically be making a spectacle of himself, basically being very theatrical, and it's great. So that's what we see in the promo. Okay,
so the episode's called A Day in the Narrows, so I assume we're also going to focus on Lee.
Yes, and what we do know is that reportedly Thomas Elliott will be in this episode.
Oh, okay.
A new actor playing him, so he's going to be recast. So I don't really know. He was a model. From what I've researched on the guy, he's a model. I don't know if he has much acting experience, so it could be. I'm not filled with uber confidence like I was with anything else, but I don't know. It's probably going to be a bit of an older actor to kind of reflect how old Bruce has gotten. So
right.
We'll see, but chances are he will be in the next episode.
Episode 8 is Stop Hitting Yourself, which sounds like a very Tommy Elliott title.
That's what I'm saying. It's Tommy Elliott or is a long shot Clayface.
Mm.
Long shot Clayface.
Well, I think that's a long shot.
I know. I know it's a long shot, but very, very assumedly Tommy
I'm Elliott. James Gordon.
But seriously, though, I would imagine that Dan Ayers will introduce Elliott, and then the next one will be all Elliott with Stop Hitting Yourself.
Okay, and then finally, episode 9. I love this title. Let Them Eat Pie.
Now, I have another long shot prediction because I have nothing else to speculate on.
Is the long shot that Harry Osborn comes into it?
No, that would be my longer shot. But I mean, no. Seriously, my long shot. That episodes 9 and 10. Assuming they do 10. I'm going to assume they do 10. I think they usually do 10. So,
they usually do 11.
I'm saying it's usually between 10 and 11.
Yeah.
Assuming I'm saying just with that title, a part of me just thinks Jerome.
Yeah, again, that's probably a long shot.
I told you, I learned nothing. I'm so entertained by the pie thing, but I have no idea what it could relate to aside from drawing clowns and pies and stuff. I get nothing.
Uh-huh.
So like you basically Jerome armed with. I don't know. It sounds like a Jerome line, honestly. Let them eat pie. I don't know. I got nothing. All right. So I mean, it's but this other aside from those episode titles, I guess. Well, I mean, how should we? There. Yeah. Okay. So aside from the episode titles, just with the next episode, I definitely. I'm surprised we're bringing Bruce. I'm surprised we didn't take at least another episode of Breather with Bruce, but go figure. We'll see what they do. I think we're going to see Bruce as a playboy with this new love interest. We're going to explore that aspect of Bruce Wayne a little.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, within reason. He's still.
I mean, maybe they'll like kind of play into his. Maybe Alfred will insist he gets a girlfriend to play into that image.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, we can't go too crazy with the playboy thing. He's a young man after all. But
of course, right. we can't go. Cleansed Morty on it.
I'd love that, but I don't think we can go that route. But aside from that, some people have a theory based on who this girl may be. We know nothing about this girl. I mean, I have some guesses what her name might be, even if that's her real name. But regardless, people are theorizing that this girl might be Talia al Ghul.
Yeah, I mean, that would make sense given the storyline. Yeah, I mean, it'd be the right time to introduce her.
It would, but all I know is, like, there's nothing like the Talia will not be, like, the go-to name, so it might be, like, a reveal of Talia.
Well, it'd probably be, like, a Miranda Tate situation,
That's what I'm saying, if they do that. So that's why the jury's out, so it could just be the actual girl's name. But I think the girl's name might be Grace. I don't know. I was looking at kind of the credits, and she'd be an unknown, so I have no idea if that's even the character's name, but we'll see. Mm-hmm. Just dark-haired girl. I mean, I could see Talia. I mean, I love the character Talia al Ghul, so I would love it if they pulled Talia. But I'd love it even more if they did Andrea Beaumont. But I highly doubt they're going to do Andrea Beaumont.
Oh God,
I would lose my mind if it was Andrea Beaumont. Tiki, I would lose my mind. Anyway, so yes, Bruce the Playboy. I think we're going to have an arc. Basically, in this next episode, I think we're going to start an arc with Bruce with the whole Tommy Elliott thing. Is that he'll be compelled to return. I think slowly by the hand of Thomas. It'll be a kind of a Bruce Wayne centric story. Maybe by the end, if not the story afterwards. That's when he's going to be, okay, I got to pick up these vigilante activities. Because basically, it's like Bruce trying to maybe lead a normal life, and Tommy Elliott just kind of comes by and says, no, Bruce Wayne has his own issues. You got to be something bigger than Bruce Wayne.
Uh-huh.
Again, I'm just spitballing that one, but yeah.
Right.
I think I got one last thing, unless you got anything.
I got nothing.
Just briefly, with the Pig story. I think Pig story is just gonna. I think by the end of the Pig story, what the Pig story is gonna usher in is by the end, I think the police of the GCPD is going to respect Jim, and this will threaten Penguin's licensing act when the cops are in support of Jim Gordon, which of course plays in kind of the whole event, the path to commissioner angle of Jim's story.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, basically, it's like, hey, Jim stopped kind of the ultimate cop killer.
And of course, Bullock kind of gets, Bullock's kind of like in a higher position. So at least I could see at the very least Jim taking Bullock's job at the end of all this.
And of course, so speaking of all the Long Halloween stuff, in Long Halloween, Jim becomes captain in that story.
Sure.
So again, Captain Gordon by the end of the season would make a lot of sense with Long Halloween of it all. So it's all speculation I got.
All right, final thoughts.
I really liked the episode. Pig was realized very well. They sold me on Lee. They fixed Lee. I'm top marks for that. I really, I can't really think of anything bad, any weak sauce in this episode.
I have like one nitpick that you kind of touched on, which is that I feel like it jumps around a little too much.
That's fair. I think,
but like you said, it's more just kind of like the structure of the actual show more than anything else, so I can't really be too harsh on that.
It's kind of part of the course, and we're 4 seasons in.
Right, exactly.
But I mean, on the whole, I'm
just saying, like with the pig stuff, I maybe would have preferred if it was a little bit more self-contained. But I mean, everything that's in the episode, like you said, there's not really a weak point to anything. I mean,
the cold open could have been better. That's about it. It's like you could have just kind of trimmed it or restructured it a little. But yeah, it's all. It's really solid, and the pig stuff's great. It's a good. Honestly, compared to some of our other Gotham introductions that were kind of our mini arc characters, I know Pig's going to be a big arc in Gotham. I don't know if that means long. I think it just means like it's going to be like kind of a big event.
An impactful arc.
Yeah, I think it's because people have been waiting for Pyg for a long
Kind
time.
of like Jerome-esque.
That's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So, based on that, that's why I think compared to some of the other smaller stories, it has like kind of a better start than those stories usually have. Usually, it's kind of like big finish or
Oh, yeah.
something.
Oh, yeah.
But for me, I had a lot of fun with that. That was really good.
All right, take us away.
Remember, kids, no matter how dark and scary the world may be right now, there will be light. There will be light.
Until next time, when we go exploring Gotham yet again. Now, you see, Jim, can I call you Jim?